In the beginning, God was dancing, leaping for joy. God was so joyful that God leapt right out of God's self and back into God's self. Well, the time came for a new beginning. And so God surprised us all. God leapt into our world in joy. God became one of us, a baby. Look, he is holding out his arms. He wants you to dance with him. And this is the story of how that happened. Here's the Mother Mary. God invited her to follow God's lead, and Mary did. And here's Joseph, whom she would marry. Joseph came from people who were kings. And purple is the color of kings. Now, since Joseph was from Bethlehem, he and Mary had to travel there because another king told them to. And Mary was pregnant with Jesus at the time. And here's a donkey they might have taken to Bethlehem because it was a long journey. Now, when they got to Bethlehem, the baby was born. But they didn't have any place to stay, so they stayed in a stable, a place where animals are kept. And because they didn't have a place to stay, they laid him in a manger, a box where animals eat. And they gave him the name Jesus. And he was God's son. And he was born for everyone and everything, near and far. Now there were shepherds nearby, watching their sheep on the night that Jesus was born, just outside Bethlehem. And suddenly, an angel appeared, and they were afraid. But the angel told them not to fear. A baby was born, the one for whom they had all been waiting. He would bring peace. So they ran to see him. And when they got there, they saw that the baby was small and wrapped in softness, like a little lamb. And they saw that he was also like a shepherd. He was poor. And they had never seen anyone before who could be both like a sheep and a shepherd. He really must be the one they were waiting for. They were so happy, they danced for joy. Well, the baby was God's son, and he was born for everyone and everything near and far. Now there were wise kings from afar, and they were watching the stars. And they saw a star that seemed to be moving, like it was dancing. So they followed it to see where it was leading them, and it led them to Jesus. Now they came from so far away that Jesus was older by the time they got there, but still, they brought him gifts to celebrate. You see, all kinds of people came to see him. People of all colors came, men and women, young and old, rich and poor, Jewish people and Gentiles. God came to dance with everyone. Even the animals, the sheep, the donkey, all followed his lead. But one animal those days spent all his time working. He was an ox. Because Jesus was born in a stable, I imagine there was an ox there. And I imagine that the next morning, the ox walked to his feed box to get his breakfast and saw the baby lying there. And all he could do was just look and look and look at the baby. And the baby was like the ox. He was not there to be served, but to serve. Now the baby grew up and he became a man. And some people didn't like how he was changing everything, riding on a donkey when they wanted him to ride on a great horse. They wanted him to be like a king, a lion, but instead he chose to be an ox. He really troubled them with his new ways, so they wanted to get rid of him. Now he died, and that is sad. But a little while later, he came back to life, like a dancer who's rested a little while to keep dancing forever so that he can dance with the whole world, including you. See? He's inviting you to dance with him now. He says, "Follow my lead." Amen.